Accentize just released a free dialogue leveling plugin called dxLevel, and it's being billed as a smart dialogue leveler. One new feature is something that podcast editors just haven't seen before. It can level your dialogue automatically without pumping up the noise floor underneath it. That's the problem that most levelers, all levelers really, have on noisy recordings. In this video, I'll be testing that and the general performance of dxLevel on a 3-track podcast episode. So, dxLevel is a free download from Accentize, but it is a lead magnet for them. So you've got to sign up for their mailing list to get the plugin. There's no trial limit, no feature restriction. It runs on VST3, audio units AAX, mono, stereo, up to 192K sample rates. So it works in pretty much everything. If you follow my channel, you've already seen me cover a few Accentize plugins. dxRevive Pro, it handles noise reduction, reverb reduction. dxSplit, it splits the dialogue into voice, noise, and reverb, so you can essentially remix those elements individually. dxLevel, it's different altogether. It's only there to level the dialogue. It's looking at LUFS and adjusting the dialogue level so the louder parts and the quieter parts are a lot closer together. It's not trying to separate dialogue from the background noise. It's not noise and reverb reduction. Its only purpose is to level the dialogue. And one of the things that really stands out about this plugin is it's the first leveler plugin I've seen that lets us set a target loudness level in LUFS. dxLevel has two modes: level entire signal. This is how most levelers work, by adjusting the entire signal to hit the target. And the other is preserve ambience level. That's the intriguing one in this plugin, because every leveler I've tried, it boosts the noise floor in the quiet sections, which makes the whole track kind of breathe. Not sure what other phrase to use, but that's something we don't want. It calls attention to itself because the noise floor increases and then it decreases, and it just calls attention to itself. Preserve ambience mode fights this by keeping the original background ambience untouched while adjusting only the dialogue to your target loudness. At least that's what Accentize claims. There aren't any other levelers on the market that are doing this. And since Accentize has a track record with splitting voice from noise, I expect Preserve Ambience to work fairly well. But we'll find out how well in a minute when we test it out. Let's jump into Hindenburg to start the demo. Here we are in Hindenburg. Let's take a look at dxLevel, the plugin, real quick. So on the left side, we've got our target LUFS adjustment. We can adjust the slider, or we can manually enter the number down here. On the top, we can choose from two modes: level entire signal. That's how most levelers tend to work. It applies the gain change to the entire signal. Preserve ambience level. This one, I'm guessing, is where dxLevel splits the noise from the dialogue and applies the leveling only to the dialogue. So when we add gain to quieter parts, it's not boosting up that noise floor, at least in theory. Here in the middle of the section is our visual display of how much gain is being applied or removed, reduced. And we've got a reading showing the current gain. Below that, we've got look ahead with 3 choices: off, 50 milliseconds, and 200 milliseconds. Off is generally only going to be used if you're using this in a live setting, like for a live stream. 50 milliseconds is the default. 200 is there in case the adjustments you're getting aren't smooth enough. And then auto speed, we have slow, medium, and fast. Slow is going to be less aggressive in applying the gain. Medium is probably where we want to start. That's the default. And fast is going to be really aggressive with it. And that can sound kind of jarring. So I wouldn't recommend fast unless you have a very specific use case for it. And then down at the bottom, we can adjust the gain limits, the amount of gain that's being added or subtracted from our dialogue to hit our target. So, for instance, if we wanted to use this just to boost the quieter sections, we would set the low end of this, the cuts, from -30 to 0. That way, we're not cutting any of the louder sections. We're only applying up to 30 decibels of gain to quieter sections, and vice versa. If for some reason you didn't want to boost up the quiet parts, you could adjust this. Or if you're getting too much gain reduction or gain boost, this is where you dial that in. Now that we've looked at the plugin, let's see how it works. I'll play the raw track here first so you can hear the dynamics. And by dynamics, we're talking about the quiet parts relative to the loud parts, or how much variation there is in the level of the speech.
Before we really get into it, I thought it would be interesting for our listeners to hear just a little bit about you in terms of. Here's my question. What do you especially enjoy about your work? I mean, it is a challenge.
So looking at the loudness meter, we're coming in at -19.4 with loudness range of 4.6. So let's turn on dxLevel. We're set at -21. Reset the loudness meter.
Before we really get into it, I thought it would be interesting for our listeners to hear just a little bit about you in terms of. Here's my question. What do you especially enjoy about your work? I mean, it is a challenge.
It just missed our -21 target by zero point 0.3 LUFS. That's fine. But loudness range, we went from, what was it, something like 4.3 or 4.6 down to 2.3. So we did successfully reduce that loudness range, the amount of dynamics, and I didn't really hear any side effects on this track. Guess we'll just leave that up for now. We'll close up this loudness meter because we've seen that this does work. We'll move on to the next track. Again, we'll play the raw before I toggle on dxLevel.
Yes, it is a challenge. What I really enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage in a civil, productive way and how to make a difference in that process, not just to be heard, but to persuade elected officials at all levels, local, state, federal, to make a difference because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And that's what I like to study.
Not sure why this isn't looping, but we could hear a lot of variation in the loudness of the speech. Now we've got dxLevel on, and we'll listen back.
Yes, it is a challenge. What I really enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage in a civil.
I'm hearing that the gain isn't being applied very smoothly. I'm hearing it. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's just not very smooth. So let's play it back a second time so maybe you can hear that.
Challenge. What I really enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage in a.
Like, especially on the show and the can.
I really enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage.
Actually, I was wrong. It's whatever this word is.
To
So 2.
enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage in a
So let's try setting this to 200 milliseconds and see if that smooths out the changes.
yes, it is a challenge. What I really enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage in a civil, productive way and how to make a difference in that process, not just to be heard, but to persuade elected officials at all levels, local, state, federal, to make a difference because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And that's what I like to study.
So the 200 milliseconds did smooth that out, at least to my ears. Let's see if there's anything here on the first track.
Well, we're foreshadowing here. So, but how have you changed your approach as the political environment has changed? Because it wasn't always like this.
Again, we're getting, it seems like the more dynamic the speech is, especially if we go from really quiet to really loud, is where we start noticing those types of artifacts from leveling.
Well, we're foreshadowing here. So, but how have you changed your approach as the political environment has changed? Because it wasn't always like this.
So let's try changing this one to 200 milliseconds and see if it smooths that out any better.
Well, we're foreshadowing here. So, but how have you changed your approach as the political environment has changed? Because it wasn't always like this.
With this one, it's hard for me to tell, but I think just from the little bit I've been testing with this for podcasts, I'd probably be pretty quick to change it to 200 milliseconds as soon as I hear anything where I start hearing the leveling. I don't want to hear the leveling maybe once in a really difficult situation where you go from really quiet to really loud. I might be okay with it, but I don't want to hear it constantly going up and down. Let's go on to our third example. Again, this is raw.
So, from your perspective as an expert in influencing and politics, what do you see what are the dynamics that are driving this growing trend of employees and stakeholders interest in making their opinions known about social issues and what CEOs and boards and companies should be doing about it? And what's the role of the CEO in addressing this?
Yes, well,
Again, we can hear very dynamic here. We go from loud to quiet and back and forth quite a bit. Let's go ahead, turn this on, and hear how it performs.
So, from your perspective as an expert in influencing and politics, what do you see what are the dynamics that are driving this growing trend of employees and stakeholders interest in making their opinions known about social issues and what CEOs and boards and companies should be doing about it? And what's the role of the CEO in addressing this?
Again, I'm hearing the gain being applied a little more than I would like to. So let's switch this to 200 and play it back one more time, see if this smooths it out.
So, from your perspective as an expert in influencing and politics, what do you see what are the dynamics that are driving this growing trend of employees and stakeholders interest in making their opinions known about social issues and what CEOs and boards and companies should be doing about it? And what's the role of the CEO in addressing this?
For me, I feel like it does smooth it out enough. This is the problem with any kind of leveler, is that it's not going to be perfect, especially when we're doing extreme amounts of gain, addition, or subtraction. Just something to keep in mind. We can oftentimes put a gentle compressor afterwards to help smooth that out some. Typically, I've been using Sonable Smart and the leveler in that. Let's bring that up real quick just so we can take a look at it. So we've got input writing here. Okay, so what I don't like about the input writing on Smart is we don't really have control over it. We can't set it to a specific LUFS level, which we can in dxLevel. So that alone makes dxLevel more valuable to me, because then I don't have to play the guessing game of, okay, how loud is my dialogue? How much makeup gain do I need to add to it to get it to be the same level as the other tracks? The big thing for me is the workflow, and I'm not going to put a ton of time into trying to get the leveling to sound 100% perfect. I'm going to find whatever chain allows me to get as close to perfect as I can with the least amount of work. And so far, dxLevel, especially at 200 milliseconds, looks like it's probably going to get me there. Let's go back and hear what it sounds like on slow, just so you know.
I'll tell you, it is so timely. We're just seeing so much every single day. It seems like there's an issue that relates to this topic. And before we really get into it, I thought it would be interesting for our listeners to hear just a little bit about you in terms of. Here's my question. What do you especially enjoy about your work? I mean, it is a challenge.
You can tell by watching the visual analyzer that we're getting much less gain applied and reduced. You can see that it's being less aggressive in trying to level everything and trying to keep the overall level. Just out of curiosity, let's bring up our loudness meter and play this one more time, just so we can compare what the integrated loudness and loudness range is on slow.
I'll tell you, it is so timely. We're just seeing so much every single day. It seems like there's an issue that relates to this topic. And before we really get into it, I thought it would be interesting for our listeners to hear just a little bit about you in terms of. Here's my question. What do you especially enjoy about your work? I mean, it is a challenge.
What's interesting is on slow mode, we actually reduce the loudness range even more, and we're slightly closer to our target at negative 20.9 versus negative 20.7. So that's interesting to keep in mind. Let's come back to this one. We'll set it to slow.
Yes, it is a challenge. What I really enjoy about it is the opportunity to show people how you can engage in a civil, productive way, and how to make a difference in that process, not just to be heard, but to persuade elected officials at all levels, local, state, federal, to make a difference, because there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And that's what I like to study.
So again, slow, we're not getting as aggressive with the leveling, but it's still doing a really good job, and it sounds a lot more natural. I'm not hearing the gain as much as I was on medium. Let's come back to our third option. Again, set it to slow.
So, from your perspective as an expert in influencing and politics, what do you see what are the dynamics that are driving this growing trend of employees and stakeholders interest in making their opinions known about social issues and what CEOs and boards and companies should be doing about it? And what's the role of the CEO in addressing this?
So I think that, at least for this content, these voices, slow is winning out. Let's try slow on 50 milliseconds, see if there's any difference there.
So, from your perspective as an expert in influencing and politics, what do you see what are the dynamics that are driving this growing trend of employees and stakeholders interest in making their opinions known about social issues and what CEOs and boards and companies should be doing about it? And what's the role of the CEO in addressing this?
At least on this pass, I'm not hearing any real difference between 50 milliseconds and 200. So for these voices, this content, it seems like 50 milliseconds and slow is the way to go. You're going to have to dial this in for your content and find what settings work best for you. But I'd say with it on slow, I'd be pretty comfortable just working without a compressor on the individual tracks. I might still put a compressor on the master just to compress just a touch, but that would really depend on what I'm hearing through the entire episode as I mix and edit. There's a good chance that if the dynamics are really well in place, they're being controlled really well with dxLevel, that I wouldn't even need a compressor on the master. Let me pause things here for just a moment and ask that if you're getting value out of this video, give it a like. And if you want to see more of my content, hit the alert notification bell so that you get notifications. It really does help the channel and helps to get this video in front of other people who might be interested in it. Let's move on. Okay, so now let's check out the preserve ambience level. As we can hear, there is some noise floor. To exaggerate things, let's boost things up to -16. Now let's switch to preserve ambience level mode.
Hmm. Yes. Well, many factors leading to this. There are a lot of things that have led to it. I will say, if we go back a little bit, though, we can find that it's really not new. I mean, corporate engagement in issues is not new. If you look at in 1776, the a third of the signers of the Declaration were business owners, planters and business owners. Um, ending apartheid in the 80s, that was led by over 200 U.S. businesses that said we've got to end apartheid in South Africa, and then before that, even higher education. I mean, higher education, the movement towards public school education for all was business leaders' advocacy making that happen. So it's always been with us to a degree, but on very huge issues and on issues that seem to be for the greater good for everyone. What we're seeing now is a bifurcation of the issue. You're always going to make someone happy or someone upset by what you do.
Yeah, let's start this over because I was hearing some pretty bad places where it was boosting the noise pretty loud.
Leading to this. There are a lot of things that have led to it. I will say, if we go back a little bit, though, we can find that it's really not new. I mean, corporate engagement in issues is not new. If you look at in 1776, the a third of the signers of the Declaration were business owners, planters and business owners.
Yeah, this is not working very well with the noise. Let's just go back to level entire signal and hear how it performs.
leading to this. There are a lot of things that have led to it. I will say, if we go back a little bit, though, we can find that it's really not new. I mean, corporate engagement in issues is not new. If you look at in 1776, the a third of the signers of the Declaration were business owners, planters and business owners.
Let's listen to this raw because it just seems like something is going on here.
Leading to this. There are a lot of things that have led to it. I will say, if we go back a little bit, though, we can find that it's really not new. I mean, corporate engagement in issues is not new. If you look at in 1776, the a third of the signers of the Declaration were business owners, planters and business owners. Apartheid and
Okay, so this isn't an issue with dxLevel itself. I'm not sure what was going on with this recording, but that boost in the noise floor was actually happening on the raw recording. So let's try a different section.
who is conversing on this. We know that Twitter is 80% men and it's 80% liberal men. And only 20% of the population uses it. So you've got this small group of people that use it, plus they are of this particular persuasion. So that.
Okay, let's turn this back on. We'll turn on preserve ambience level or move to preserve ambience level mode.
And only 20% of the population uses it. So you've got this small group of people that use it, plus they are of this particular persuasion. So that tells me a lot there in terms of who is saying these things. So is it representative or not? Now, that's just one venue for those conversations. There's lots of that are more authentic and probably more worth paying attention to. But
I'm not hearing a huge difference either way. And I realize in hindsight that when I was testing preserve ambience level, that it was doing what they claim it does. The noise floor stayed consistent while the dialogue was being leveled. When I was in the demo, I was expecting to hear noise reduction for some reason, but that's not what this tool does. And it's probably why I shouldn't be doing demos early in the morning. Another note about preserve ambience level is it increases latency, so it's not going to be a good choice for using live. If you want to use dxLevel live, set it to look ahead off and speed probably slow or medium. Now that we've tested it, here are my thoughts. I feel that it does a good job of leveling and being transparent, or transparent enough that most people won't hear it when you have the speed set to slow. Medium, for me, was just a bit too noticeable. I can't see a time where I would be using fast mode. Having tested everything out, I'm pretty confident that dxLevel can replace Sonable Smart Comp in my chain. It'll save me even more time on mixing because I can set each track to the same target and start editing. I'm not going to have to deal with my current process of loudness meters and adjusting the makeup gain until each track is within a half dB of each other or half LUF of each other. I should be able to just set it for -21 LUFS, and each track should be close enough that everybody will be happy. There will always be some situations where leveling might struggle. One example might be when you have someone who speaks really fast and is highly dynamic. That might be a bit too much to get smooth leveling and may require a different approach. Maybe compressing the high bits and using dxLevel to boost the quieter parts. That's the thing with audio. There's rarely a one-size-fits-all approach that works every time. If dxLevel performs well, I hope that it becomes popular because so many podcasts are overcompressed by content creators and editors who just don't know how to use their compressor. And I'm not talking about nobodies. I've heard plenty of long-term professional editors whose mixes are absolutely crushed with compression and limiting. It makes it just a listening experience that I cannot enjoy. But overall, I think dxLevel is worth picking up if you do work with dialogue for yourself or for clients. I'm not one who usually advocates picking up free plugins just because they're free, but this one, it provides value and utility. The fact that it lets you set a LUFS target, that means it'll save time mixing because you can easily set each track to the same target level. No fiddling with loudness meters, no dealing with makeup gain or whatever your current process is. And I feel like this is one of those plugins that is worth having in your toolbox. Even if you don't need it every day, there will be projects here and there where it will be useful. So, what about you? What's your current leveling process? Are you using clip gain? Are you running Vocal Writer or something like Sonable Smart Comp? Or doing something else entirely? Have you tried any of the Accentize plugins yet? And if you have, where do they sit in your chain? Where would you put dxLevel? For me personally, if I was going to be using dxLevel and a compressor, I would have the compressor follow dxLevel just to smooth it out a little bit more. But let me know what's working for you and what isn't. And check out this video up here if you want to see a demo of dxSplit, or this playlist over here to see videos about noise and reverb reduction tools. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.